Hey there YouTube fans, AC Productions here, and today I'm going to be showing you on how to adjust your rear stock shock. Now I'm not sure if you guys know or realize that you could actually adjust your stock rear shock. From factory it comes adjustable. Now there is 7 settings on here on the stock shock that you could do. Now number 1 is soft, and number 3 setting it will be medium, and then number 7 will be maximum at hard. So from the factory it's going to come at number 3, which they just figure it will be an overall fit for everybody kind of setting at medium. So but you could actually adjust it to your riding preference. Of course the stock shock is not extremely adjustable to the every millimeter of for tuning purposes, but at least you have something is better than nothing, I always say, and especially from the factory. So you do have some adjustability on your stock rear shock. And let me show you the tools that you're going to need to do this adjustment. All right, so here are the tools you're going to need to do this well, I wouldn't say installation, because normally my videos are installations on how to do this adjustment. Now you're going to need your Yamaha key to open up your rear passenger seat. Next, what you're going to need is you're going to need a handle with a 5mm Allen key, which is right there. Now these parts are going to be the optional part that you're going to need for this adjustment. Scissors and extra zip ties. Now for the scissors and zip ties, if you did my video on how to install the rear shock tube or rear shock sock, you're going to have to clip the zip ties in order to get access to your rear shock. And then once you we put the shock sock back on, or shock tube back on, you're gonna have to reapply with the new zip ties. But that's only if you did that particular installation. If you didn't do it, you're not gonna have anything on your rear shock, and it'll just be open and exposed. All right, so let's get to it, and let me show you what we're gonna need to remove to get a little bit more better access on your rear shock. But before we do that, let's actually put the key in the rear seat, and let me show you what's underneath your passenger side seat. So now let's grab our key and let's get access to our rear passenger side seat. If you have the R1 style tail, your keyhole is here. If you have the normal stock fairings in the back, your keyhole will be on the other side underneath. All right, so let's get the access to that rear passenger side seat. So now if you were lucky enough to get the toolkit that comes with the R3, it'll be located back here underneath your passenger side seat. All right, so by removing it, if you flip it over, you're going to notice that there's going to be this rubber band part, and this is where your toolkit is. If you bought your bike used, hopefully you did get the toolkit. If not, you are in luck. I will have a link in the description underneath this video on the toolkit for the Yamaha R3. Okay, so let's get to the toolkit, and let me show you what's inside, which is really basic tools. Now to get to it, we just got to pull on this rubber band. It might be a little bit hard. It depends if you ever use your kit or not. Let's go ahead. It's going to be a little bit difficult to show you on camera because the camera's kind of in my way of doing this, but pretty much just pull the rubber band off and your toolkit should come right out. Okay, now that I got the rubber band off that little clip right there, just go ahead and pull your toolkit out, which is like so. I'm gonna just probably put the seat in like this. There. So you could just unroll your toolkit, which is pretty much like that. And like I said, if you open it here, I do have a little bit of extra tools in here for when I'm out and about on the road, but for the most part, this is what comes in your basic toolkit. Well, let's go with this side over here. Now this is going to be your extension handle for your rear shock spanner wrench, and here's your spanner wrench right here, and this is pretty much the tool we're going to be using for this adjustment. So just go ahead, put it in like so, and there you go. Now you have a full spanner rear shock spanner wrench to do the adjustments for your rear shock. Okay, now to get a little bit more easier access to your rear shock, it'd be best to remove your rear brake reservoir. So in order to do that, just remove this bolt right here with your 5mm Allen key. So let's go ahead and just remove that. Okay, now that you go ahead and remove that, if you want, you can just go ahead and put the screw right back in its place, or just make sure you put it off to the side. And then you're gonna notice that it does come with this like little spacer. You can just pop that little guy out, because sometimes it does come out and sometimes it doesn't. It's kind of stuck on there, which is, oh, there it goes. It's kind of connected all there, so it doesn't seem to come out. But if it does come out, just go ahead and put it off to the side. All this does is just to prevent the rear cap from actually coming off. As you can see, it's actually holding down the cap. All right, so now that we got that out of the way, now we have a little bit better access. If you put this off to the side a little bit, pretty much a little bit better access to get in there. With this being in there, it kind of limits your way to get in there, and if you have big hands, or it's going to be a little difficult. All right, I have small hands, but still it's a little bit on the difficult side. Alright, so there we go. Let's put it right there. And then I'm just going to go ahead and I'll just probably put the screw right back in here. I just don't want it to get lost, or if I kick it somewhere. Alright, so now that we got that out of the way, now when I have to get to my rear shock sock or tube, which let me see what the real name is called here. It's called shock tube. Alright, so I do have zip ties on it because that's the way you have to install this type of tube. And there is a zip tie down here, and I believe, yep, there is a zip tie up on the top. So if you do also have this shock tube installed, as you can see, hopefully the light's not too bright. As you can see, there is Velcro right here alongside the tube, and then here at the bottom you could see that there is a zip tie. Point at it, there's a zip tie right down there, and it's all Velcro here, and then there's a zip tie up on the top. So go ahead and clip the zip tie and unvelcro it and clip the top zip tie. Okay, now before we actually adjust the rear shock, I almost forgot to mention to you guys, I'll have a link in the description below where to get one of these shop blankets. After you fold it a few times, it actually saves your knees from the floor, and it gives you a little bit of cushion when you're working. So that's always a good thing to have. Getting back to the rear shock here, see if I could try to get the best shot for you guys. It is a very tight area and kind of a little difficult to get in there with the camera, but I'll try to do the best I can. As you can see, here is the rear shock, and I'll have a photo here of the rear shock showing you the indication points of the settings. Now, if you see this little notch over here, not sure if you could see it in the camera, but in the picture, you could see here is the notch right here. Now that indicates the 0 setting, I would say. Now the settings are indicated by the arches, not by the points. You're gonna see little points on the bottom part of it, but it's not indicated by that. It's actually by the arches. So as you could see, my setting from factory is on the 3rd arch. Now when you turn it to the little metal part all the way at the end there, that's going to be the softest setting. So that'll be number 1 on that arch right there. As soon as you start going counterclockwise, you're going to start going to the hardest setting, which is number 7. For a firmer setting, adjust to the front of the bike. For a softer setting, adjust towards the rear of the bike. Alright, so now that we got our spanner wrench here, now let me actually zoom in a little bit further so you guys could see. When you're going to put it to the softer setting, you want to make sure that your tool is facing this way, because we're going to be turning it clockwise. We're going to be going softer. If you want to go to a harder setting, make sure that the tool is facing this way, because now we're going to go counterclockwise, and that's going to get you towards the harder setting. Now, if you have the rear tire hugger like I do, in order to maximize on what setting you prefer, you're going to have to remove this in order to adjust it fully, either from harder to softer or softer to harder. Having this here won't allow you to actually get access to that area, as you can see. If you don't have this and you have your stock chain cover, that's on the other side. So over here you'll be completely free, so you'll have that adjustability. But for now, I kind of just wanted to show you guys on how to actually get here and actually show you that your stock shock can be adjusted on the firmness or softness. All right, so like I said, so we're gonna go over here. We're gonna go this way and set it to 1 down. So what you want to do is you want to get this part of the hook onto the notch of the bottom of the shock right here, or over here, whichever is best. So just go ahead and get it on there. That was kind of hard for you guys to see, but once you get it on there, just give it a good make sure you get it on there good. So once you have it on there, as you can see, I do. All right, hopefully this is a better angle for you guys. All right, so we're gonna go into 1 softer setting. So make sure that you get it right in there. Once you get it clicked in there, just make sure you give it some pressure on the tool. So once you get pressure on it, it's going to lock that little hook onto the notch inside the shock. So from there, you want to make sure you're super careful, because there is a lot of pressure on this shock to keep it where it's at. So when you're doing this, you're going to have to really pull on the tool to actually get it to move. So let's go ahead and do that. So as you do it, you're going to feel it turn. So once you do it, let's get it in there. All right, so now that we got it in its place, it did take some elbow grease to actually get it to move. All right, so now that you got it in there, just go ahead, remove your tool. All right, so after you do your adjustment, if you're gonna do this while you're out there riding, which I guess would be preferred, so that way you don't keep coming back to the garage or wherever you're at, or back home on doing it. So make sure you have your tool with you. And so once you get your adjustment over, go ahead, grab your reservoir, your your brake fluid reservoir, and install it right back in. Get the screw out, put the screw in, tighten it back up, and go for your ride. Give it a good test. If that's the adjustment you like, then you're set. If you want to test out the other adjustments, you're gonna have to keep removing this out so you could get a little bit better access to the adjustment screw of the shock. So that's what you pretty much want to do. If you feel that was too soft for your liking, we want to go firmer. So say I didn't like that particular setting, make sure you turn your tool this way. You get the tool over here to the notch over here on this side, lock it in place, and then turn it towards the front of the bike. Now that's going to get it towards the firmer side. And then go for another ride, you know, until you set it to your personal preference and how you like the setting of the bike. So once you do find that setting, note that, you know, whichever number it is, like I say, you count the arches of the bottom there, and then that's when you know what setting that you feel most comfortable in. So, all right, so now that you found the setting, just go ahead, remove your tool, take it apart, put it back in your toolkit, put your toolkit underneath the seat, and you're ready to go. And like I said, I don't think a lot of R3 owners know that the rear shock is adjustable. Like I said, it's not 100% to the millimeter adjustable. I mean, you could see once we had moved it over, it was quite a chunk going from one setting to another. But like I said, something is better than nothing on adjustability for the setting. For those of you who actually installed the rear shock tube, after you actually set your bike to the preferred adjustment, go ahead and reinstall your shock tube and zip tie it, and then you're all set to go. If you guys did not do that shock tube, you know, so your shock will be exposed just like this. So after you get your proper adjustment, now let's actually go ahead and put our reservoir back on, screw back on, and then just go ahead and tighten on the bolt. Okay, now that the bolt is tightened back up. All right guys, well that pretty much concludes the video. I just kind of wanted to make it nice and short and not too extremely long. I just wanted to show you guys that you are able to adjust your rear shock. If you guys liked the video, hit that like button. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you haven't yet subscribed, don't forget to subscribe and also hit that notification bell. That way you guys are up to date with my latest videos, and thank you for watching.